can I just take this moment to thank each and every one of you amazing supporters. This channel has grown into an amazing community of story lovers. I could not have done it without you guys. If you haven't yet subscribed, then please be part of this journey and help us reach new heights. My carefully curated Facebook page was intended as equal parts personal yearbook chronicling adventures winning Miss Hawaiian Tropic pageants and wholesome Bible Belt mom frolicking with the youth group while still flashing taut abs at 40. Sprinkling encoded LLM sales pitches and hashtag blessed life, hashtagging catered to both clienteles. If high school hedonists in my party days or recent church frenemies couldn't handle devotion to both God and thermosculpted glutes, they could keep scrolling while I gained likes from admirers in each arena. Amidst the rhythmic cadence of scrolling through my Facebook notifications, a sudden interruption caught me off guard. A friend request from Marcus. The beads of sweat on my brow from a mid-workout selfie glistened as I examined his genial good looks. There was an odd familiarity to those twinkling dark eyes and the dimpled smile beneath the ball cap, yet I struggled to place him. With a nonchalant assumption that Marcus represented a distant figure from my past, perhaps seeking to revive some bygone admiration after witnessing my dedicated fitness regime, I gladly greenlit yet another fanboy into my digital circle. Little did I know that this seemingly benign act would unleash a cascade of increasingly personal interactions. As Marcus delved into our virtual connection, he unveiled a curious discomfort with our lack of physical acquaintance. His comments on each post took on an intimate tone, traversing the spectrum from casual greetings to more intrusive inquiries. The cheeky winking emoji, his response to a post-yoga matcha tea moment, initially stroked my ego with flattery. It seemed my director shots, showcasing taut thighs in a kneeling warrior pose, still managed to captivate male imaginations, even if it was confined to the virtuous realm of social media. The flirtatious aloha farewell, gracing a post about my lifelong Hawaii obsession, carried an air of respectful recognition. Initially, there was no harm in welcoming this innocent banter, a brief respite brightening the monotony of homeschooling lesson plans. The posts remained fully public, and I navigated them with a smiling politeness, gently discouraging any potentially amorous notions, a task aligned with my strict born-again moral code and the demands of domestic absorption. As the days unfolded, the tone of Marcus' comments became increasingly nuanced, weaving a tapestry of familiarity that bordered on intrusion. The online space, once a sanctuary for shared interests and light-hearted connections, morphed into an arena where each comment felt like a step into uncharted territory. The digital playground had turned into a stage for a complex dance, where I sought to uphold boundaries in a space that should have remained secure and welcoming. With each ping of a new notification, the line between harmless banter and unwelcome advances blurred. The discomfort simmered, prompting me to question the authenticity of Marcus's digital presence. Was he truly a relic from my past, or an intricately crafted character designed to infiltrate the sanctity of my online world? The journey from a simple friend request to the unsettling realization of virtual intrusion had me grappling with the complexities of online connections. The digital landscape, once a bastion of camaraderie, had transformed into a testing ground for boundaries and personal space. As I treaded cautiously through the comments and emojis, I wondered if Marcus was merely a reflection of the nuanced challenges that accompany the interconnected world of social media. But Marcus' fascination increasingly unnerved me as responses grew personal regarding otherwise mundane posts. My lakefront nature pics confession invoking childhood memories, skipping stone spawned enthusiastic agreement no other spot compared for quintessential simple youth joy. The vegetarian dinner I had just assembled elicited hungry remarks, as if peering through my kitchen window awaiting a served plate. Even silly caricature art of my Shih-Tzu pups incited interrogations for every beloved pet I ever owned with requests for origins of unusual names. His wildly specific reminiscences and inquiries consistently suggested intimate familiarity with even my most forgettable moments rarely held relevance past that fleeting status update tag. I couldn't comprehend the obsession with analyzing offhanded posts so forensically. Blocking Marcus after pleas to respect appropriate boundaries only motivated his infiltration via pseudo-profiles. Muff gym mirror selfies with shirts lifted to flaunt pump progress attracted endless exacting compliments on muscle definition and tone from a never-ending queue of strangers who just happened to share my same favorite exercise playlists. Even joining private groups exclusively for pastors' wives saw increasingly unnerving biblical observations on my posts from respectfully unnamed members whose scriptural references echoed Marcus' previous courting tactics. The pretense of wanting to reunite over shared history or pay respects from my platform's sidelines vanished. Raw, unfiltered envy bled through each message as if my carefully curated existence on glossy display kindled resentment in this unsettling admirer. The biting comparison between his own stagnant, beer-bellied lifestyle and all my aspirational family road trips and glam vacations came laced with transparent contempt, as if I had callously betrayed some unspoken promise not to exist so happily without him thriving equally in my wake. In any public space I now felt viscerally his eyes tracking me, vowing to strip my pride bare as payment for perceived debts my achievements stacked against his comparative lacking. Soon paranoia of being watched strangling the casual enjoyment tempting spontaneous adventure photos once posted without afterthought. Constant anxiety of inevitable filtration requests or contemptuous commentary about slightly blurry selfies on a landmark hike eroded Thestrings's invisibility, protecting bold, open-hearted oversharing. I plunged into profound media isolation, unwilling to stir his vicious appetites for pillaging my spirit, served up vulnerably on a newsfeed platter. All well-meaning friends faced firm denial against tagging me at group events, wary his phantom specter might glimpse untainted joy behind my fortress walls, and become further inflamed, needing to contaminate beauty, giving him no quarter. There could be no relaxed satisfaction in my world under perma-surveillance by an unstable guard needing to normalize all outside his misery. So I willfully terminated that lifeline of support many still depend on, just another smiling profile pic vanishing without explanation to the masses. A voluntary ghost doomed to wander privately through aging's inevitable erosion, feared any visibility might too easily attract the polling stalker still seeking my internal destruction. All souls require refuge where colors fly, unburdened by darkness clawing to wipe rainbows. So I retreated fully to let inner light heal unseen but untainted. Thumb hovering over the bright red Go Live button, I felt the familiar flutter of excitement in my stomach. I loved connecting with my online community this way, chatting, joking around, sharing tidbits of my day-to-day life. Hitting that livestream button felt like inviting close friends over for a virtual hangout, bridging the gap across miles and screens. The usual crowd filtered into the comments, greeting me with smiling emojis and inside jokes. I grinned back at the camera, the contentment of connection washing over me. About 15 minutes into the broadcast, an unfamiliar handle popped up in the stream of comments. Follower 479. Harmless enough, I thought. New viewers trickled in all the time. I welcomed them to the group and kept the conversation flowing. But I noticed follower 479 said nothing, only watching. Their user icon was a default silhouette. Again, not unusual for shy or new people hesitant to jump right in. But then the questions started. Probing ones about my location, my job, people I interacted with that day. Odd. I deflected and changed the subject. That kind of personal info wasn't something I openly shared. The familiar commenters quickly jumped in, routing things back to our inside jokes. I brushed it off and moved on. Until follower 479's next comment. The barista at your usual coffee shop has a crush on you. My stomach dropped. How could they possibly know that? I hadn't mentioned stopping for coffee, much less details about personal interactions there. I stared at the comment with unease. One of my regulars asked if I was yeah, all good, I lied, forcing a cheerful lilt into my voice. But it was not. Follower 479 referenced more specifics. Co-workers I'd emailed recently, friends I'd texted mundane details of my workday. The invasive personal knowledge grew more unsettling. They even knew about a disagreement I'd had with my sister that morning, quoting word-for-word snippets of our conversation. My caution shifted into fear. I leaned towards the camera, checking over my shoulders. Were they not just watching, but actually here outside my apartment? Were they following me? I wanted to end the video, shut them out, but morbid fascination glued me in place. Calm on the surface, my thoughts churned and roiled. How long had this follower 479 been cataloging my conversations, relationships, movements? What private moments had they already stolen, vicariously living through my days? And what did they want? Blackmail, identity theft. Would they expose my secrets publicly if I didn't comply? Or did they have something more sinister in mind? I shuddered imagining this stranger, this stalker building an intimate profile without my consent. Were they obsessed? Would an unhinged mind blur the line between my projected identity and my flesh and blood self? Could I become prey to some social media zombie hungry to consume a life more interesting than their own? Fear mushroomed into panic as follower 479 commented in real time. The song playing in another room, choice of beverage I just grabbed from the fridge, current browser tabs open on my laptop. The immediate invasion screen from the device clenched in my white-knuckled grip. This was no virtual hangout with friendly community, but a one-way glass with an unseen menace peering hungrily into my world. Pulse thundering in my ears, I leaned towards the camera until my face dominated the frame in disjointed close-up. "Who are you?" My whisper shook. "What do you want from me?" Silence. The comments spun without response. My wide eyes flicked side to side, scanning for any reflection of my stalker in the screen's black margins. A floorboard creaked down the hall and I gasped, nearly fumbling the phone as I whipped my head towards the closed bedroom door. A pause, then muted footsteps trailing away. My blinds hung askew over the window, daylight bleeding through the slivered opening. Had someone been watching me from outside? Would I catch the streak of a retreating shadow if I rushed over and yanked back the vinyl slats? Or were those footsteps merely the elderly neighbor returning from walking her dog, oblivious to my spiraling paranoia? Turning back to the tiny screen, I watched the chat churn without further input from the sinister follower 479. The familiar usernames bubbled up reassuring support and ignoring trollish remarks alike. But now knowing what I knew, I couldn't help questioning even their innocuous presence. How many other wolves mingled undetected among my flock of followers? Sheep's clothing came cheaply in the form of anonymous accounts. We all willingly overlooked minor red flags for that precious sense of connection. My community now resembled a candy dish of familiar treats concealing one hidden razor blade. I dared not bite down for fear of tasting my own blood. I hovered a finger over the live stream controls, hesitating. My videos and photos all remain archived here. Stalkers and creeps could continue combing through my digital footprint. But abruptly slamming that door might trigger an aggressive response. Heart knocking against ribs, I forced a smile that felt grimace stiff. Time to casually wind this down like always. With a breezy half-hearted excuse about meetings to prep for, I issued friendly farewells under the guise of normality. My finger stabbed at red phone icons, shutting off cameras and microphones with an urgency belying the casual tone. As soon as the broadcast ended, I collapsed with my back against the wall and the device clutched to my chest. Panting filled the empty room. The late morning sun continued to shine innocently through the blinds. But now I understood the unseen eyes potentially hidden behind light sources. Nowhere felt wholly safe anymore thanks to a simple live video. And whoever follower 479 truly was behind that blank facade. My cursor hovered over the unfamiliar name in my latest friend request, Christine Singh. That's weird, I thought, scrolling through the profile. She looks exactly like me. Same haircut, same style of clothes, same big smile in her profile picture. I would have sworn I was looking into a digital mirror if not for the unfamiliar name stamped across the top. I frowned, scanning her photos and posts. Everything seemed cloned from my real account. Same hometown, same college, same captions and inside jokes with my friends. But the dates were all wrong. That trip to Mexico. The concert last year. I posted those memories, but this Christine acted like she'd lived them herself. Unease curled in my gut. This had to be some kind of bizarre prank. Maybe an old classmate mocking up a fake account. But the details seemed too intimate even for that. Christine's page displayed snapshots of my childhood home, cousins I hadn't spoken to in years, obscure hometown hangouts I'd nearly forgotten. My finger hovered over the accept button. Should I confront this identity thief head on, or ignore her and hope she disappeared as mysteriously as she'd surfaced? Before I could decide, a new notification drowned out all other thoughts. Christine had posted on my page, publicly, tagging old friends and relatives, asking if they remembered that disastrous Thanksgiving dish I'd brought the year my parents divorced, or how I'd begged out of Sarah's bachelorette party after getting dumped. Her reminiscent tone strained against the private pain behind those stories. Fingers trembling, I frantically tagged everyone, explaining the situation and warning them to avoid Christine. Had she been surveilling not just my digital footprint, but actual moments from my past? Maybe hacking emails or texts for personal details. The notifications kept rolling in. Christine reminiscing about my most embarrassing high school moments, quoting awkward excerpts from teenage diaries. She even referenced the surprise party my friends threw that I fled early, overwhelmed by the attention. Bile burned my throat. Those memories weren't just intimately personal, but profoundly vulnerable. We'd all shared things freely back then, not realizing how words and secrets solidified into weapons over time. And here Christine was publicly wielding my own past against me. Her intrusiveness felt like standing naked on stage as a stranger narrated my personal slideshow. I might as well have fraud tattooed on my forehead. How many would question which Christine, the impersonator or me, told the truth about my own life experiences, even denying her claims amplified them? Panicked, I messaged my friends individually, promising to video chat later so they could confirm my real identity firsthand. My family messaged bemused but supportive emojis, accustomed to online drama far removed from their world. Meanwhile, Christine kept tagging more acquaintances with increasingly personal anecdotes. That scar from my appendix surgery, kids I babysat abandoning me mid-job, financial mistakes, secretly leaning on parents' help. It was death by 1,000 cuts. Tiny true details painting an exposed portrait devoid of context. Without malice or commentary, Christine presented my personal history through a warped glass, scattering refractions of me across the digital landscape. I felt fractured. The stability of my world, career, reputation, identity, now felt fragile and flighty as rice paper. How much could a stranger truly recreate just from my online presence? If Christine mimicked me this easily, who's to say more copycats wouldn't follow? I might breed my own identity theft ring. Worse still, doubt crept in that I somehow deserved this. I had freely posted personal milestones, relationship drama, emotional moments for years without considering privacy or security. My openness fueled this violation. I welcomed people into intimate life details, prioritizing connection over caution. And now Christine hijacked that access, weaponizing the vulnerability I once shared so freely against me. The notifications gradually slowed as Christine seemed to run out of ammo. My closest inner circle rallied around me, helping report the offending posts until she got banned. Their indignation on my behalf warmed places that felt frozen under her invasive assault. We'd weathered growing pains together in those early raw years that Christine dredged up, and we would persist through this too. My fingers hovered over her profile before clicking block. Glaring evidence remained that she'd burrowed far too intimately into my past. But at least now I could quarantine the damage until figuring out next steps. Christine's breezy oversharing reminded me that privacy builds safety. I used to open book my life for connection without considering those pages might someday shudder. The intimacy of sharing only existed in the context of trust, and even perceived friends can violate sensitive boundaries. I'd guard my inner world more carefully going forward, share with compassion, but release with caution. My identity can't be stolen if it's not available to take, and real friends will stick around even for the less transparent version of me. Logging out at last, my shoulders eased from around my ears. No telling that Christine might resurface under a new guise, but stronger boundaries would steady me if she did. I might bear scars from mistakes thrown back in my face so cavalierly, but resilience rises from carefully tending old wounds until they no longer pain me.
Thanks for listening in. If you like these stories and want to hear more, then please subscribe and like and support this new channel. We have more stories for you to listen to.